Ladies and gentlemen, dear project coordinators and partners, dear colleagues from the Commission services at DG ERG, DEFCO, NIR, and in the EU delegations, dear colleagues from the national agencies. My name is Ralf Raders. I'm the head of unit of the Capacity Building Action in Higher Education at the Executive Agency. I have the pleasure to open this conference for those 164 new international projects that have been selected for an EU funding in 2020 under the Erasmus Plus program. The Erasmus Plus capacity building action is a key component of the EU's response to the challenges of higher education systems in the partner countries. Modernization of higher education systems through international projects, and increased quality assurance in education, innovation, and a better governance of higher education institutions, and above all, increased competence levels and employability of students in partner countries are at the heart of the capacity building action. More than 900 international cooperation projects have been funded under the capacity building action between 2015 and 2020, and the impact studies that have been made show a variety of success stories and the long-term effects that these projects are generating. The overall aim of this grant holders conference can be summarized as follows. Firstly, to provide project coordinators and their partners with all relevant information for a successful implementation of their projects, both concerning the operational management and the financial management of their capacity building projects. We need to ensure that projects are implemented with the highest standards and quality in the 102 partner countries in the world that participate in the 164 selected projects. Secondly, the conference offers the possibility to provide coordinators and partners with a political background in which their projects are embedded and to which the project results shall contribute. Thirdly, during the event, there will be a number of opportunities for new and experienced coordinators to exchange knowledge and to network with other projects in a similar subject area or in the same country. Finally, the conference is an excellent occasion to meet representatives of the European Commission, the EU delegations, national Erasmus Plus offices, the national agencies, and above all, to have intensive bilateral discussions with the project officers at the agency who will follow and monitor the projects during their lifetime. This grant holders conference will be spread over the entire week. The main program is set up on this Monday and tomorrow Tuesday with plenary sessions and regional workshops. It will include also this morning a discussion, as was announced, with Professor Yunus, the Peace Nobel Prize winner of 2006. These two plenary session days will then be followed by projects, bilateral meetings, and e-stands organized between Wednesday and Friday. This grant holders meeting 2021 will be organized fully online, which is a challenge and has led us to adapt our traditional approach of holding it in situ in Brussels for two reasons. First of all, because the ongoing global pandemic did not leave us with any other choice. Secondly, we want to support the Education for Climate Coalition inaugurated by Commission President von der Leyen on 10th December 2020. This includes organizing events like this in the most climate neutral way. We walk the talk. Ladies and gentlemen, I now give the floor to Mrs. Themis Christofidou, the Director General for Education, Youth, Sports and Culture.
Hello everybody, Professor Yunus, professors and university representatives, headquarter and delegation colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. I'm very pleased to welcome you to this meeting this morning, although I would have preferred us all to be in a very big room and being able to see each other and hear each other live. But we have to deal with this online. Hopefully, we will not have many more meetings online, but we will be able to meet again face to face. First of all, my congratulations to the more than 160 projects selected for funding under the Erasmus Plus program in 2020. Bravo. You went through a very competitive process and only the very best proposals made it through. You're joining over 900 such projects that we have funded under the Erasmus Plus program between 2015 and 2020. Over the next 3 years, your work will help bring more quality, more relevance, and more innovation into higher education worldwide. And you will show that partnership and collaboration are not just words on paper. They have real meaning and real impact. Because indeed, education is at the heart of any well-functioning socioeconomic system. And it faces challenges of its own. This last year has shown us a lot. We have seen it throughout the year. Amidst the COVID-19 pandemic, our education systems have been put under pressure as perhaps never before. The lockdowns have affected 100 million pupils and students in the EU alone, and over 1.3 billion children globally. Higher education was no exception. Universities had to adapt swiftly to continue providing inclusive education of the best quality. Teaching and learning have moved largely online. And this sadly has exposed the digital divide between the rural and urban areas, between the rich and the poor, between the wealthy and less wealthy countries. Societies around the world are still adapting to the situation and trying to move from disruption to recovery. Yet, we have seen incredible displays of resilience, strength, and creativity in coping with this new reality. We should seize this situation not only as a threat to overcome, but as an opportunity to benefit from. An opportunity to keep innovating and modernizing our education systems. And an opportunity to build our resilience for the future. As a global partner, the European Union is committed to strengthening international cooperation on education. We have most recently spelled out this goal in our vision for a European education area and as part of it in our Digital Education Action Plan. We see Europe as an area where education is marked by quality, inclusion, and gender equality, where learning goes hand in hand with the green and digital transitions, and where teachers and trainers are well equipped and respected. But the European education area will not thrive in isolation. We are acutely aware that strong international cooperation in education and training is vital to address existing and emerging global challenges. We must cooperate if we are to achieve the 2030 Sustainable Development Goals. We must join forces and learn from each other if we are to overcome the digital divide. Now, what does this mean for higher education? First, higher education institutions need to empower people with the skills required for the fast-changing society we're in. Think about digital and technological transformation, about global health, climate change, growing inequalities, or lack of inclusion. We need skills to help tackle these challenges. Second, we need to enhance graduates' employability and entrepreneurship. We can do so by better aligning skills and learning outcomes with labor market demand and with newly emerging sectors. Third, we should support stronger collaboration between academia, research, and local business. These links are fundamental for creating a knowledge-based society that fosters economic growth. And fourth, universities also need to invest in the so-called knowledge square. This means adding another dimension to the core knowledge triangle tasks of teaching, research, and innovation. The dimension where universities become true engines of development for their cities and their communities and fulfill their mission of service to society. And this is why I'm particularly pleased and honored that we have Professor Yunus in our midst today. I don't think we could have found a more inspiring person to share with us his vision on the role and responsibility of universities in designing the future of our societies. Ladies and gentlemen, the transformation of universities to be better equipped to face challenges ahead has already begun. What we need to do is support this transformation and ensure that it is inclusive. We need to train future generations to thrive in a resilient, inclusive and sustainable, globally connected society. Erasmus Plus capacity building projects in higher education are an important element of the job ahead. I look forward to following the work of your projects over the coming years, and I wish you every success in bringing a positive impact on the world. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Tenis. Thank you for having taken the time to be with us. I know, we all know you have a restricted calendar and your time is precious. Thank you very much for sharing your ideas with us on higher education and about the challenges that universities face and the needs that we have to see in the future. I will now give the word to Mrs. Sophie Bernards, who is the head of department at the Executive Agency for the entire, I must say, for the entire Erasmus Plus program and the EU aid volunteers. Please, Sophie.
Thank you, Ralph. Dear project promoters, distinguished guests, dear colleagues, dear friends, first of all, I would also like to take this opportunity to congratulate all the project promoters who have been selected to receive an EU grant under the capacity building in higher education action. With indeed more than 1,000 proposals submitted and only 164 proposals approved, it's clear that it was a very hard competition and you went through it. So really, congratulations. As we said, this conference is also a great opportunity for all of us to meet, for all of us to network, and last but not least, to share the responses to the pandemic challenge. Indeed, in a very short time, the pandemic hit the entire education and training community, and you were part of those. However, academics and administrators of the currently running CBHE, capacity building and higher education actions, did, in close cooperation with us in the agency, shown incredible creativity, flexibility. You did huge efforts to find innovative solutions to continue education and training throughout the world. Together with the consortia, we found solutions for each and every project to allow its continuation. Innovation via digitalization and adaptability to a new environment surely played a very important role in this success. This conference is not meant to be an end in itself, but this event should be the catalyst, ensuring that your project delivers the best possible value to the Erasmus Plus program. We want that throughout the project's implementation period, you look back at this conference as a reference point. Moreover, events that your project will hold in the near future, together with your partners, will continue to build on this conference. We are sure of that. And we, in the Education, Audiovisual and Culture Executive Agency, are responsible for the management of the call and of what we call the centralized actions of the program funded by the European Union in the fields of education, culture, audiovisual, sport, citizenship, and volunteering. We ensure that the projects respect quality implementation in the way they address the policy priorities chosen in a substantial, sustainable, innovative way. And why do I insist on these points? Well, last December, Maria Gabriel, our Commissioner for Innovation, Research, Culture, Education and Youth, launched the Education for Climate Coalition. Education and training, of course, supports the European policy agenda for sustainable growth, jobs and equity. And the Commissioner called specifically to mobilize the education community through actions in support for climate neutrality and sustainable development. She pointed out that living up to the expectations of European citizens, education must be seen as a strategic investment in the future. And indeed, the doubling of the budget within the new multi-annual financial framework for 21-27 can only be justified, you will agree, if Erasmus Plus projects are implemented along the highest quality standards possible. If they provide innovative solutions to the needs they identified, and if the results are valorized. Hence, quality implementation is the first and most important step to be able to disseminate and exploit high-quality projects and high-quality results. Your projects are part of a bigger strategic approach. Community, cooperation, living and working together are values, invoked across the globe and more important than ever. When the scientist couple, Dr. Sain and Dr. Chirurgy, who developed the vaccine against COVID-19, were asked how they feel as scientists superheroes, they answered, "But we were not alone. So many scientists from many countries work together. So the academic community is the superhero. Of course, we don't expect you to be the superhero consortia, but we expect you make sure that your strategies involve all potential stakeholders, ranging from other higher education institutions, ministries, the EU delegations, student associations, NGOs, and private businesses. If you want to make a difference, you need to reach out to the decision makers, to the other beneficiaries, actual and potential, to the civil society as a whole. And maybe then your consortia will become an Erasmus Plus hero. Your projects are meant to be our policy catalyst. And this is what a successful project should strive for. Your aim should be to ensure that the project leaves a legacy behind, in the sense that the project should not finish as soon as the final payment is made, but the benefits should continue to echo beyond the implementation period. We also call for you in your role as innovators. New ideas, new ways of thinking, new ways of cooperating should be supported in your strategies, tools, and methodologies. We indeed don't want more of the same, but we want to support innovation throughout. We also want that innovative ideas are really employed to ensure that young people get the best education. That is really important, in particular in this COVID-19 pandemic context. And so challenges must be turned into opportunities to modernize and internationalize higher education. We, as agency, are your partners in this, and we will provide assistance in the framework of the legal and administrative remit at our disposal. It is clear that the focus in this context lies on the creation of a digital education ecosystem, enhancing digital competencies for the digital transformation. This should also support and should really support the inclusion of vulnerable groups that have to be included in this transition. Innovation and specifically digitalization should be tools to enlarge outreach and not to enlarge the distance between the privileged and rest of society even further. I also would like to underline the need for a greener and more sustainable approach in your ways of working and moving. This is an issue that is very close to the heart of the young people, and it's an overarching priority of the EU Commission, which committed itself to a European Green Deal. Let me conclude by sharing with you the questions that I think are important to keep in mind during the discussions that we will have later. How can we ensure sustainable impact? How can innovative approaches enhance the outcome? What is the main takeaway from the COVID-19 experience? And how can we use the potential of the virtual space in education? We need your experience, know-how, and enthusiasm to deliver on all of these fronts. And I want to use the opportunity to thank you for the important work that you do every day by giving the Erasmus Plus program an international dimension and allowing that Europe remains what it always was. A crossroads for ideas, for people, for cultures, a place where learning from each other and people-to-people contact brings down walls for mutual benefit. Dear project coordinators and partners, my colleagues and I are here to help you and assist you in making your project's implementation easier. Nonetheless, you remain, of course, the sole owners of your projects. I wish you all the best for the implementation of your capacity building projects, and I'm very confident that this meeting will be the start of a fruitful exercise in sharing good practices, highlighting common challenges, and proposing common solutions. Thanks again for your attention, and all the best with your project implementation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sophie, for your for pointing out, above all, the high expectations that we have for the capacity building projects. I think that is the main message, that we are counting on all project coordinators to work with us together and to make these projects a success. Ladies and gentlemen, we have now finished the first part of this morning session, and we will now proceed to the second part, which is dedicated to Professor Yunus, the Nobel Prize winner of 2006 and the founder of the Grameen Bank. This session will be moderated by my colleague Clivio Casali. Professor Yunus, a warm welcome to you in the name of all the participants in this conference, and thank you for being with us. Clivio, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Ralph. Thank you very much, and welcome everyone from each and every corner of the world to this session dedicated to the designing the future role and responsibility of higher education institutions, with the participation of a very special guest. I just received confirmation that we have an impressive attendance today. 900 people from more than 100 different countries have registered and signed up to follow this session, also through the Erasmus Plus program and European Commission social media. So without any further ado, it is a big honor and a great pleasure for me to introduce to the audience our special guest and keynote speaker, Professor Mohammed Yunus, who is connected from Dhaka, Bangladesh. Professor Yunus, a warm welcome from the Executive Agency and the European Commission, and thank you very much for having accepted our invitation to contribute to this Erasmus Plus Capacity Building in Higher Education 2021 edition of the grant holders meeting. Quite a long title. Professor Yunus has an impressive curriculum, so impressive that I have struggled myself to summarize it in a few words. If we had to list all the awards and recognition, including state honors and universities' honorary degrees for his contribution to humanity, this would take up most of the available time today. Professor Yunus is a renowned economist who is certainly well known among the audience for his revolutionary principles and his work throughout more than 40 years of activities. As it was said, he's the founder of the Grameen Bank and is considered as the father of the microcredit and the social business model. He has helped lift millions of families out of poverty around the world, people that were considered by the conventional banks as non-credit worthy. And for this reason, Professor Yunus and the Grameen Bank were awarded the Nobel Peace Prize in 2006. But Professor Yunus has not stopped there. Since then, he has established groundbreaking organizations around the world to support millions of people developing new social businesses from the least to the most developed countries. And he has illuminated the way we should think about poverty, inequality, and entrepreneurship in his latest book, The World of the Three Zeros: Zero Poverty, Zero Unemployment, and Zero Net Carbon Emissions. Professor Yunus, I hope this was not too long a presentation for you. We have roughly 40 minutes to ask you some questions, and we are looking forward to hearing your perspective. Thank you and welcome again. Shubho Shandar.
Shubho Shandar. Thank you. Thank you. Delighted to be here. This is a wonderful occasion, to be with you, everybody, and we will go along. Do I respond to questions or I just make remarks on my own?
I suggest I will ask you a few questions and then...
That's right, that'll be good.
Feel free to... And if you don't mind, if you are going over your time limit, I will remind you that...
Absolutely, I feel comfortable with that way. Yeah.
Thank you very much. So let's start by saying that, Professor Yunus, we live in an age unlike any other in history where the society has enormous economic resources, unprecedented technological tools, and a relatively high level of peace, freedom, and cooperation among human beings. On the other hand, our society is facing serious global challenges. Poverty in many countries, inequalities, and concentration of wealth in the hands of a minority of people, disregards of human rights, disparities in education, and we saw it now in healthcare, environmental degradation, and the challenge of the global challenge of the climate change. In your book, The World of 3.0, that we just evoked, you argue how the invisible hand of capitalism has pushed us down to the wrong road in the name of maximization of profit, revenue, and selfishness. You indicate there is also an alternative path that our society could take. Can you briefly take us through your thoughts on this and illustrate your main principles on how this change can be brought about?
Well, thank you. You gave a good list of things that I have to respond to. I should start with by saying that all the positive things that we have accomplished in the world, it's a very valid one that you made a list. And you also made the negative list, which is also valid. So we have to now weigh together with both the positive list and negative list, what is the net result that we got? For me, net result is very simple. This is a world which has become an unlivable world, where our life is about to end through global warming. Our scientists are saying that we don't have much time left on this planet. They have been giving us the warning signals again and again, making us aware what point we are in. The countdown has begun. That's the most important thing. We are in the countdown situation right now. We are as if we are in a train, a very fast-moving train, which is carrying all of us in the planet to go to our last station. And that's the end of it. And the last station is coming up very soon. And that will be the end of our existence on this planet, because planet will become uninhabitable for human beings to stay on this planet. So that way, the net result is, after what we all have done in all the time that in the past, human being became the most endangered species on this planet right now. We have very little time left, and we finish our identity as an endangered species very soon. It will be over. Why? Because of global warming, you have mentioned. And we see our houses burning, and it's very vivid, and we acknowledge it everywhere. Even in the USA, where Trump administration has withdrawn itself from the Paris Agreement, now Biden administration has rejoined it. But still, that doesn't mean that the burning has stopped. Our house is burning and becomes stronger. We have not taken any serious attempt to stop the fire. And in this burning house, inside the house, we are having big celebrations of our achievements, of our glory, of our growth, about our prosperity and all that. So it's a very kind of contradictory situation. Inside, we are celebrating, we are having all the kind of glorification of ourselves, but house still will turn us into all of us into ash. So this is something that competing things are happening. We are not paying enough attention to put the fire out so that we can live in a house which is a safe house. Presently, it's not a safe house. So this is the danger part that we see. And other things that you mentioned as the wealth concentration, all the wealth of the world is concentrated in few hands. And people are disconnected with the wealth. All the wealth of the world is concentrated in the hands of a few people, almost 1% of the population of the world, owning 99% of the wealth of the world. 1% owning 99% of the world. So what does it mean? 99% of the world population has to live with 1% of the wealth. So if you try to draw a map, putting the population under a certain daily income, $1 a day people, and we see how many people under $1 a day, $2 a day, $3 a day, when we see how many people under those level, and $5.50, that's about divides the whole population of the world. $5.50 a day, the people under that are the half the population of the world. Out of 8 billion, 4 billion is under $5.50. And the remaining people are above the $5.50, at the bed maybe $10, maybe $20, maybe $50 a day. As you go up those levels, the $50, $20, and $100, you almost exhaust all the human beings. There's not much left. But then you have very few people, very sporadic people as you go living there. If you now put the wealth in this picture, at the bottom, the $5.50 people, there are very little wealth left in that situation. Not even a fragment of that 1% that's supposed to be with the 99% of the people, because they're only 50%, bottom 50%. So very little of that wealth. So if you go up, all the wealth of the world, you don't see any sign in this area where the $100 a day and $200 a day, not much here for people. All the people are condensed at the bottom. And all the wealth is in the top, where $1 million a day people and so on. Very few people, but there are lots of wealth, 99% of the wealth. So it's a very funny map. All the wealth is kind of in the North Pole, and all the people are in the South Pole. So there's a complete detachment, complete disconnect between people and the wealth. And that's the most dangerous part of it. This is an explosive situation. It's a ticking time bomb. It cannot exist like this. So this itself will destroy ourselves. And the third one that we created our situation untenable is artificial intelligence, which is now beginning at the beginning phase now. will replace human being in the workplace. And that's the beauty of the artificial intelligence everybody is celebrating, how efficiently it's being done, removing human beings on the job. So in a couple of decades probably, we will see all human beings, probably most of the human beings will be out of jobs because artificial intelligence has taken over. Ultimately, if artificial intelligence continues like that, human being will become some entity who has nothing to do on this planet, because artificial intelligence is doing that, doing all the work. So human being will sort of become a garbage on this planet. So this is the direction we are going. This is where our entire economic system taking us to. When the pandemic came, I'm pleading to people when they're arguing that we should quickly go back to our original pre-pandemic situation. Economy should take it up. Economy now has stopped. We should restart it to take us back into the pre-pandemic situation. I plead with them, please don't go back, because going back to this situation of pre-pandemic, meaning we start the journey again towards our last station. We don't want to do that. Now the pandemic has stopped the train. We can get off the train. And now we can build another train to take us someplace else. We don't have to go to the same destination that we had. So I'm pleading with everybody how to design that new train to take us to the new destination. I keep saying, if you go through the old road, it will always take you to the old destination. And old destination is the end, is the death for everybody. So we don't want to head for this. Is the suicidal path. The path that we have been following is a suicidal path. We don't have to go there. So we have to build a new path to take us to a new position. Old civilization that we have been carrying around until the pandemic came, I said pandemic gave us a pause. Now we can build a new civilization. Get rid of this old civilization, which is an old path, suicidal path, and build a new civilization to create a new world. And how we can do that? This is what I've been talking about. These are the issues that we want to raise, that make sure we know how to get there. Simply, we don't want to do that. That's why I was giving you the example of the burning house. We know that the house is burning, but still we're having fun, having a party inside. Now we have to get aware that no more partying. We have to stop the fire first. Then we start our life all over again. So this is the crisis that we are facing. And this pandemic has made it very clear that this is a time to make decision, a very bold decision, outrageously bold decision. Simple decisions will not take us anywhere. Simple decision is only, you are not even slowing down the train. The train is moving to that last station. So that's where we are right now. I'll stop here.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I hope we will be able to come back and buy the tickets for the train to a new destination.
Yeah.
Then moving from this general broader overview to specifically more our program, the Erasmus Plus capacity building in higher education. The projects that are following today that we have selected this year are based on international cooperation through multilateral partnership. They aim to support the quality, modernization, and accessibility or inclusiveness of higher education in partner countries as a driver of sustainable social economic development. As I said, among us today, there are representatives from universities from countries that are most significantly affected by these global challenges. As we mentioned, poverty, unemployment, and severe environmental degradation. In your opinion, Professor, what role can universities play in order to respond to these challenges? And how, how can university contribute to put the human being and respect for environment, for example, back on the forefront or on the top of their agenda and priorities? Yeah,
let me put it this way. I come from the academic world, from the university world, so I can be as harsh as I want to be without making people feel that I'm accusing other people. I'm not accusing, I'm accusing myself. I keep saying that the world that we have built, the civilization we have built, who are the architects? Who are the designer of this world? Who told us that this is the way to build this thing? All these ideas, all these concepts, all these institutional designs, were all born in the universities. So us, the university community, are the architect of this doomsday. We designed it, and now we have to admit we designed it wrong. So that's the courage we'll have to have, that whatever we have designed it absolutely wrong way. And as a result, entire human population is now at the danger of being extinction. And our children, our teenagers are marching on the street, calling themselves Fridays for Future. And their message is they're accusing their parents by saying that you parents have destroyed our future. You have stolen our future. We have no future left. Imagine our own children accusing us that we have stolen their future. They have no future left for them, our children. What would our grandchildren say about us? How cruel these people are, we are, that we created a world for our enjoyment so that they don't have any future for themselves. And this accusation will come just right on the desk of all the academics that we have around the world who are behind all the designing and so on and so forth. So this is the accusation part. The solution part is we are the one at the academic institutions that we have to now redesign everything so that we can build this new train to take us to the new civilization. Because otherwise we have no excuse, because universities have to play the role of handing over all accumulated knowledge of the past to the new generation, which is important responsibility. But we forgot, sometimes we don't give any importance to that. We forgot our primary job is to challenge those ideas. We didn't challenge. We just kind of submitted ourselves into the old ideas and carried on the old ideas. And this is what we have done by doing that. So now we have to become extra alert that we don't want to teach the old ideas which build the old roads, taking us to the old destination of destructions and perish. We don't want to get perished. We want to survive. Human beings are not here to get perished by our own stupidity. We are smart enough to recognize our stupidity and redesign things, go in the new direction. So this is the responsibility that the universities have to take. What we are doing as we are just individuals. We are not a government. We are not big institutions or foundation or anything. As individuals, what we have done, we are encouraging the universities to create social business center so that we can bring those ideas, whatever the ideas that we have been promoting about the entrepreneurship to microcredit and all the things that we have done, many other issues in the social business, and bring it to the university. At least there'll be one corner in the university where they will be discussing the building of the new path, building of the new road, where rest of the university is busy to carrying on the old path, encouraging the students or young people go carry on their life with the old ways. And we are the one who will be doing it in other way. And there I give the examples of Grameen Bank. This is where my first journey created a bank called Grameen Bank or Village Bank to bring financial services to the poorest people and focused on women. So we bring financial services to the poor women in the villages, in the distant places where never heard that any financial system exists, except for the loan sharks. And loan sharks will destroy your life. They don't give your life, they destroy your life. So we want to replace that loan shark by bringing a brand new financial system, which is as good as any other financial system, as robust, as financially sustainable as anything you can think of. And we got that done. And how did we do that? That's the first question I wanted to share with you. How did we do that? How come it works? That we created a bank for the poor people and it works. And while the banks were accusing the people, when we said, why don't you lend money to the poor people? They always accuse the people. They said, well, the people are not creditworthy. That's why we cannot give you the money from the bank. We cannot give you the financial resources because you're not creditworthy. So I reversed that question. I said, should you be accusing the people, or people should be accusing you by saying you are not people worthy? So this is the question. Are the people not creditworthy, or banks not people worthy? So you have to resolve that. My position is banks are not people worthy. So I created a people worthy bank, and it worked. how did we make it work? I said, it's very simple for us. It sounds very funny, but it's very simple. Whenever we needed the rules and procedures of our bank, Grameen Bank, I just looked at the conventional banks, how they do it. Once I learned how they do it, I just do the opposite. And it worked. It became a beautiful bank. And they go to the rich, we go to the poor. They go to men, we go to women. They go to the city, we go to remote villages. They want collateral, we say no collateral. And this is how we've done. And collateral is such a basic thing for any financial institution. We dismissed it overnight. We said, forget it. We don't want to collateral, because collateral is something of a wall, which it doesn't allow poor people to get into the financial system. So break that wall. We broke that wall. And people say, well, it may work for a small village or 2 villages, but it will never work. How can you give money to people without any collateral, without any lawyer, without any paper? Grameen Bank today, in 2021, we are nationwide. We became nationwide long back, and we have over 9 million borrowers, mostly women, 97% women. And we give out over $3 billion of loan every year and more every year. No papers, no guarantees, no lawyers. It works. And the repayment is always remain as high as close to 99% and above. So this is it. So even without collateral, if banking system can work, not only Bangladesh, it's globally done. So what is the message? The message that I want to bring. If you want to change a new world, if this world is bad, then you reverse it. And that's the reversal that we have done in our own way. It's not that we came out of this principle and whatever we see, we keep on reversing it. We did things, and this is what the universities, through social business centers that we are talking about, designing things, talking about it. What are these things? For example, conventional economics taught everybody to become job seekers. At the university level, we are teaching our students how to become good employees, how to become job-ready young people. Universities, in their brochures, they say, we are the best job, we produce the best job-ready young people from our university. We produced so many thousands of job-ready young people last year, and so on and so forth. I said, that's a shame. University should not be producing job-ready people. University should be producing life-ready young people, not job-ready young people. So how does life-ready young people mean? I said, look, job is an artificial idea. And it is imposed by our education system, our customs, our theoreticians, to make those human beings into job seekers. Job is a continuation of the idea of slavery. You slave for somebody. Why should I slave for anybody? Human beings are independent beings. That's the number one lesson for any human being. He's an independent entity, independent being. That's how we grew up on this planet millions of years back. And we continued that. We were never job seeker in the past. We were hunters, we are farmers, we are gatherers, we are problem solvers. We are not job seekers. So it's the education, it's the thinking process which made us into job seekers. I said, human beings are born as entrepreneurs. The role of education is to develop that entrepreneurship in the young people, make it successful entrepreneurship, give them the options of entrepreneurship, get all the preparation that they can make to remain independent and remain separated out from all the lures of jobs and so on and so forth. I said human beings are packed with unlimited creative capacity. That's the nature of human being. Each human being is packed with unlimited creative capacity. Whether this human being is born on the street, among the street people, or this young person is born in the palace of a king. They have the same potential creativity in them. So that nature didn't distinguish between the two birthplaces. But in the process, we cannot express our creativity to make it same for both. So that's where education system comes, how to make that happen. So education system doesn't recognize the creativity part, they recognize the part how to make a life for yourself. They said job is the destiny of your life. Every young people are taught the job is the destiny of your life. If you don't get a job, you are not a successful person. You are defeated right from the beginning. I said, no, job is not the destiny of a human being. Human being destiny is to flourish, is to unleash his energy. And job is the end of creativity. Job seals away your creativity. Job doesn't need creativity. Job runs by instructions. Job runs by orders. You follow the orders faithfully, you become a good employee. That's not human being. Human being don't take orders. Human being expresses himself the way he or she is, and that's why it becomes important. So we create entrepreneurs. That's what microcredit has done. That's what the financial system has to do. Create those, help them to unleash their creativity. Who do we lend money to in the microcredit program? All these women, the illiterate women, cannot read, cannot write, cannot count. These are the people, these are the women we give the money. Did they go to school to learn how to run a business? No, because business idea is inherent in them as a human being. And these are the millions and millions all around the world that you talk about microcredit people. And they do excellent business, pay back every penny, unlike the other people who do that. So this is the first thing, to define the whole road to job seeking. We have to become entrepreneur, design the world for the entrepreneurs, not design the world for job seeking. And job is the one which has created this wealth concentration. Because if all of us, 99% of us, are working for somebody else, and these are the people who collect the gain of the business and become the wealth concentration people at the top 99% wealth, because we work for them, we slave for them. That's why they got the money. I said, if all of us become entrepreneurs, every one of them, because if we tell them in the universities, in the schools, in the homes that you are an entrepreneur, we'll help you to become an entrepreneur, we design things for you, become entrepreneur. If they become, all of us, suppose in the world, everybody's entrepreneur, there will not be any wealth concentration at all, because all of us will be taking wealth by ourselves. We don't pass it on to somebody else. Today, we created a wrong idea, wrong world by doing that. One, we became slaves, and the other, we created the problem of wealth concentration. And in the process, we created the global warming because they want to make more money, selfishness. And the selfishness is another thing we have to address in the academic system. We are not selfish human beings. We are born as with two qualities. One is a self-interest. All human beings are driven by self-interest, and economics ran with that self-interest part and created the world. I said, no, that's not the end of it. Human beings are driven by self-interest, also collective interest. Economics doesn't recognize collective interest. So they created a business to make it a world of selfishness with profit maximization. We are so blinded by the profit maximization, we don't concern anybody, anything else. So we created this world where money goes in one direction. It doesn't come in any other direction. We recognize it as a self-interest and collective interest. In order to make that happen, we created a business of the collective interest. When you call it social business. Self-interest business is run by profit maximization motive. Collective interest is run by a motive to solve human problems, with no interest in making personal money at all. So we have two contradictory things, and both exist at the same time in the same human person, that we are self-interest and also collective interest. And we call that business social business. It's a non-dividend company to solve human business. So in the universities, we have to tell our students there are two kinds of business. Business to make money, business to solve the world. If young people find out that I can solve the problem of the world will be free from all the problems. Simply, we don't tell them. We leave the problems to the government. Government is a totally inappropriate authority to solve all the world problems. They can just pass on from one political party to the next political party, make more promises here and more promises there, and try to be safe from everything. That's not the way to solve problems. When human beings take over the responsibility of solving problem, all the problem will fit. Nothing is impossible for human being if we make a decision to make it happen. So these are the tasks of the universities. We can elaborate it more, but I will stop here.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Professor. Very fascinating and very powerful, if I can say. Indeed, it will take the need to take some very bold decision. It's very interesting, but I think people in power, from the head of governments to down, if we talk about universities, we'll have to take very bold and revolutionary decision. And I would actually say that as bold as this decision that you took back then when you came back from, as a professor, university professor, when you came back from the United States to Bangladesh, and you were confronted, you were facing a very harsh reality of your countries in poverty. So you decided to leave, to get out from the classroom and get into the field to see with your own eyes how people and what people were facing. So as you mentioned in other occasions, you had this overlook from up above, a sort of a bird's eye view. But only then when you went down door to door, close to the people in the village, you developed a worm's eye view with more details and from the very close range. Now, universities, many universities, we heard that there are more than 100 projects ongoing. Some have already started, some of the university will start their capacity building project now. Why is it getting out in the field so important, and how important is for university to get close to the real needs of the society in order to be able to respond to their needs?
Well, thank you for taking me back to those days when I started. I came an innocent economist with a degree from US University and teaching experience in the US universities, and then came back to Bangladesh, which is a already devastated country because of the war that was fought, the liberation war. And I started in the university as a teacher of economics. And I saw very soon a famine taking over the whole country, people dying all around us. And that shocked me. I had no idea that people can die in this day and age for not being able to eat a small amount of food to keep him alive or keep her alive. And this is happening right in front of my own eyes. And I was very frustrated. And I blamed myself for going to school to learn economics, because I thought economics is such a rotten subject, such a useless subject. It has not equipped me to face this situation and help people to get out of this situation. And what is it that economics has told me? That if it is not useful to human beings who are in such a dire need, such a need where they cannot have a handful of food in their hand so that they can have one meal a day so that they can still survive instead of dying on the street minute by minute, approaching the death in a very slow motion and happening so in front of your own eyes. And that frustration took me completely disenchanted with all the economic theories. That's beautiful, fantastic theories. I said, these are all make-believe things, has nothing to do with real people. So I was thinking, what should I do with my life now? Now that I'm a useless person, I've done something which made me totally useless. I'm no longer of use to anybody because I've learned something which has no use at all. So I was thinking how to make myself useful. Every day I was thinking, how do I make myself useful to another human being? Not everybody, I cannot do that, but at least one human being, at least for a day. That was the. So one idea came, why don't I go to the village, which is just next door? The boundary between the campus and the village is just one common boundary. You cross the boundary and you will be the village, as a traditional Bangladeshi village. So I thought I should go to the village and see what's happening. And I'll meet people and see if I can find something to make myself useful to that particular person, and find next day another thing to do or following up on the previous one. So I started doing that. And over days or months, over a couple of years, I learned a lot of things from people, how they are working, how they're doing that. And in the meantime, I did some little things and so on. Then I reflected, what am I doing? And I'm so excited that what I'm doing. I'm excited because I spend so much time in the traditional university learning of things from the books. I said, what the university has given me is a bird's eye view. So I fly high. The higher I fly, I see more. But I see more, quote unquote, see, because I don't see clearly. I make up things, make up stories about seeing, actually without seeing it, because I'm too high, flying high. So it gives you bird's eye view, very incorrect, very chaotic thoughts and so on. I didn't learn anything from that. And they didn't see much of it. They just made it up. So today in this village, this is my real university. I see the world exactly the way it is. And I can touch it, I can feel it. And the closer I get, more excited I get, because I see the ideas and things are not as complicated as it looked like when I was sitting in the classroom, sitting in my library. I see things, it can be done. It's a people. So I can work with the people. It encouraged me to do this, do that. I was doing lots of little things. And then I said, this is my real university. For the first time in my life, I'm at the real university. I'm talking about the real people. I'm talking about the real problem. I'm talking about the real solutions. And I'm trying to find the solution. May not be the right solution right away, but I'm working for it. Maybe someday I'll find something. And then I saw the loan sharking. And the loan sharking, victimization by the loan sharking, I was trying to see how do I protect these people who are victimized. And one idea came, why don't I lend the money to the person who needs the money? Instead of going to the loan shark, he or she will come to me and I'll give the money. I have the money in my pocket because I'm coming from the US. I have a lot of money in my pocket, so I can give it to them. So this is what I did. I started lending money, a small amount of money, $5, $10, $2, $1. That's the kind of money they needed, and that's enormous money for them. And people were so happy. And everybody said, oh, you'll never get your money back. I saw people are paying me back. The condition was, oh, you don't have to do anything, just return me whenever you can. And people were paying me. As I got very excited. So I started expanding and expanding. And over time, I created a bank out of it, which is called Grameen Bank or Village Bank, just for the village because it's became too big. So I wanted to make sure now we can institutionalize it, make it easy and simple. People understand it. It can continue, it can expand. And that's what I did. So the real thing, the conclusion that I'll say, if you come closer to the reality, problems are not as complicated as it looks when you abstract it. In abstraction, you go completely in a different direction because you're not related to the problem itself. You don't smell it. You can't touch it. You can't feel it. So what kind of it's an intellectual exercise. So today, what the world we created is an intellectual exercise. Intellectual exercise who are not connected with the real world. And then we created the world according to the theory, according to the thoughts that we generated within the university, and we doomed ourselves. So I said, let's go back to the reality, address them piece by piece, and make it happen. And that's where the world will be a completely different world than it is today. So the university has to be a mixture of the real life and the kind of abstraction part of it. So how to make it powerful, so give it a systematic approach to that. So that will be the real world, not just getting away from the reality and talking to the students of the things that they've never seen, never feel, never done this kind of thing. So this is very important to reality. The more closer we come to the reality, solution becomes so much easier. Because it's people. After all, my whole point is we are dealing with people. We are not talking about the stones or something, some lifeless products or something. We are talking about people. People are very creative. Once you try to address together the same problem, they come up with a lot of solutions for you so that they collectively they can find a solution. So that's why we created lots of social business. All the businesses that we talk about now as a social business actually were created while I was doing the Grameen Bank microcredit in the village after village. We address the healthcare program. We address the solar energy program. We address the toilet program. We address the many other issues, livelihood issues, entrepreneurship issues, and so on and so forth. These are all learning processes coming from the experiences that we have gone through. We're saying, why all business have to be business to make money for me? Why can't I make a business to solve the problem of water in the village or a toilet in the village? I can create a business, and business not to make money, but to solve the problem without any intention of making money. And we created it. We didn't have the theory first. We did the practical example first. Then we reflected does it mean? And we said, this is another kind of business. People were blaming me. Why do you create business if you're not taking money? You're not making money. And I used to tell them, is there a law in Bangladesh that if you're not taking profit out of your business, you'll be jailed? So I'm doing something perfectly legal. All I want to solve problem. I'm not interested in taking money. I'm interested in recycling the money in the business so that it can grow, so that it can solve the problem of more people. So that's where the whole idea of social business came. Then it became very important for many countries, and they're adopting it now, many corporate bodies and institutions and everything else. So this is how the reality drives you into the direction you make. And I keep saying that theory comes when you have a goal. If you don't have a goal, you don't go for a theory. Theory is like a software, You need a software when you want to solve a particular problem. I want this software to do this, this, this. Then I sit down and create the software. Here we made a software called economics and say something, whatever comes out of it, we have to accept it. Why? I want to create the world that I want and make a software to make it happen, and can be done. I said, I want a software which will make the world a world of 3 zeros. That's what you're mentioning. You mentioned at the beginning, a world of 3 zeros. 0 net carbon emission. Otherwise, we have no option. So let's create a world with a 0 carbon emission. And we do everything. The software will tell you how to run the business, how to do this, how to find the financial system. Everything will come out of the theory. Software means theory. And then a world of 0 wealth concentration. It will not have any wealth control. Wealth and the people will be together, not separated out. Wealth in one direction, people in another direction. That's a funny world. This cannot function at all. And it's getting wider and wider distance between the wealth and the people. I said we should bring the wealth and the people together. They will complete overlap with each other. And that's again question of software. How do we redesign the system which will bring the wealth and the people together? And I gave you a solution. As an idea, as a theoretical thing. I said, if everybody becomes an entrepreneur, suppose it does, there'll be no wealth concentration because we share wealth ourselves. We don't pass it on to somebody else as workers for somebody else. So this is the kind of thing we're talking about. And young people love that. They want to be solution creator, not just job seekers. So you detached our young people from the solution creation, turning into just taking a petty job, doing the routine work every day, and waiting for the retirement someday, and that's the end of the life. What kind of life is that? Life has to have a purpose. But the education system doesn't talk about purpose. Education system says how to get the best job in the best company and with the best remuneration and so on. So that's not a life. Life is about self-exploration and contribution, that I made this happen. This is my contribution to it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Professor. That still concentrating on the university and the role of the university, we saw that, as you evoked or you mentioned at the beginning, that the COVID-19 crisis has a tremendous effect and consequences on the different countries. National government and international organization and community have to review their own priorities and their objectives. If we bring it down to the Erasmus Plus program and the universities participating in our program, they needed to reorganize themselves and invest more on digitalization and remote teaching. I'm not going to ask you in which sense this is a wake-up call and an opportunity to rethink about our model, because you already very clearly explained, but I'm going to ask you how difficult and how can universities succeed in being more inclusive and reach out to disadvantaged people, particularly in the light of what our Director General mentioned before as this digital divide. The COVID-19 is perhaps creating a more division and fraction between those who could afford technologies and those who cannot. So what message can we pass to universities involved in our program now?
Yes, we can discuss that. One of the things, just again coming from our own experience that as we face, I just mentioned the technology part is very important. And I'm a great promoter of technology, how to bring technology to the poorest people. That's been my lifelong endeavor to make that happen. But at the same time, I remind people again and again, technology is a blessing for all human beings. So we must see how to bring that blessing to everybody. And at the same time, you must remember, technology is a potential curse. It can destroy you. So it's not the technology which is important. Important is technology for what? That's the important thing. We don't talk about technology for what, we just talk about technology. So digital technology. By itself, You can be exploited more efficiently now. Now that I have the digital technology, I control that technology and exploit you more than I did before. So it became a curse for me. Your digital technology is hurting me more than it did before. So how to make sure it doesn't become a curse for me? It comes as a blessing for me. I have education, I have access to information, I have access to knowledge, I have access to communications and everything. That's opening the door, not allowing or not going in the direction where they will come in a big way to squeeze me out more and more, and I become totally irrelevant and disadvantaged and everything else. So this is a major part of it. When we did the microcredit, always we tried to see how to bring technology into it, particularly the digital technology. This is just about coming. At that time, desktop computer is not here at all. Globally, it was not here. So only thing when we heard that, yes, there is something called computerization of system, we got the earliest version of computer collected by us to use it in our system to make sure. It's a 256 kV computer, desktop computer. You never heard of it before. This is something that we got, and we started using it and learning how to make it. Then gradually, computer technology improved. We started bringing technology into it. We grew entire Grameen Bank with a computerized system, where internet didn't exist, computer didn't exist, electricity didn't exist. We started computerization. What we did, we brought generator in the village because there is no electricity, computer in the village, so that we can keep all the records. At the end of the day, we collect all the information, go to some place, pass it on physically so that we can reach it to the head office because there's no way of transmission. This is our life. And ever since, it became an improved. We are all ahead of the curve all the time. Make that happen. So this is one area that we do. And then telephones. Telephones didn't exist in the villages of Bangladesh. I'm talking about the mid-90s. At that time, there was no telephone in the villages. In the whole of Bangladesh, which is right now has 170 million people, in the middle of 90s, probably much less than today, but there's only 2 million telephones in the whole country. And mostly in the city, like in the capital city and one or two major cities. That's the end of it. And half of those telephones didn't work. These are state-run telephones. That was it. Then in the meantime, government made the decision they will privatize telephones and they will give licenses. We applied for a license. We want to create a telephone company. And our idea is very simple. We explained to the government when they asked, why do you need a telephone? You are running a bank for the poor people. I said, poor people need telephone. They laughed. Why do the poor people need telephone? We don't understand. I explained. They didn't believe what I said. I said, look, telephone is information. Information is power. Whoever he gets it is powerful. So I want to bring this power to the poorest, powerless poor people, and to the women. They laughed at me. But ultimately, we convinced them. We got a license, created Grameen Phone. This is the first telephone company which is going outside village, outside the city. Government telephone system didn't go in. This is now a mobile phone system that we brought in, the digital system we brought in, and started telephone in the villages. And we gave this telephone with the loan from Grameen Bank. She buys a telephone set and starts selling the service of the telephone. And she makes money out of that. And it became her business. And she learned how to use the telephone very quickly. She's an illiterate person, doesn't know even the numbers, 1, 2, 3, how to dial the number. We said, you must dial the number yourself so that you know where the call is going. So she learned how to do this. She doesn't read and write, but she learned the numbers to start the business. And we call them telephone ladies. And she became a very successful telephone lady to carry the business of telephones. And now in the next 3 to 4 years, we have about 2 million telephone ladies in Bangladesh. And telephone company became a big telephone company overnight because we compete with that. So this is the way. Then she becomes to get out of the poverty with a cell phone, with being a telephone lady, is a matter of 2 to 3 years. If you have a cell phone, if you have a telephone in the village, you become, you cross the border poverty in a very quick way and become a much well-off person in the village than anybody else, and a very powerful person because everybody has to come to you. Gradually, telephone system spread out. Everybody has a telephone now. In Bangladesh, everybody has a telephone. So how to use the technology for that kind of purpose, make sure that we do that. And we come, initially I was mentioning about artificial intelligence, that's also technology, and I'm afraid of it. I said, this is going in the wrong direction. It is replacing me, making me into totally useless entity on this planet. I don't want to be useless garbage on this planet. I want to be real contributor to the well-being of the people, well-being of the system. So this is how the Grameen Bank emerged, and gradually we create this Grameen phone. Today there are 4 big telephone operators in the country, in Bangladesh. Grameen phone is the largest market share company, and it has the half the market share of the telephone is in the hands of Grameen phone. So you can imagine how it grew, how it continued, and so on. So it's not a simple idea, just give a tiny loan. It grew into a big idea. Then we got into solar energy, and it became a big thing. And the simple idea was they are using kerosene lamp because there's no electricity in the village. So they have to live with the traditional way. You have a kerosene lamp, you have a little lamp, and in order to save kerosene, you sleep early. Because there's nothing to do, you sleep early because it saves you kerosene. So we said, no, you can stay awake if you have the solar energy. They didn't understand what the solar energy is. Because solar energy was just starting. This is 1995 we're talking about, before the Grameen phone. So I said, this is it. People didn't pay any attention. They'll forget it. They will just cheat you. They will take money, but nothing will work. This is like a magic. They're talking about magic thing. So they paid no attention to what we're trying to do. Then we kind of come up with a message. The message is we talk to the poor people, village people. Anybody's okay with us because everybody's using kerosene. And we know fossil fuel is destroying the planet. We have to bring renewable energy. So we started talking about it. And we told them, look, how much money do you spend on kerosene? So everybody has a real picture. I spend X amount of money, but if you're a small family or if you're a poor family, you spend less. If you're a big family, well-off family, you spend more on kerosene. So message is, you give me the monthly kerosene money to me, and I bring you electricity to do the enough of your power more than what you consume right now. If you're not happy, you can stop paying me. You don't have to pay a penny. I'll take back my system. And you don't own us anything, I don't owe you anything. People say, well, that's a good idea. If I don't have to pay anything more than kerosene, I get electricity, why not? It clicked, and it became a very popular business. We grew and grew and grew very quickly. And in about 3 years' time of our operation, we call it Grameen Energy, the company name, and Grameen Energy. In 3 years' time, it became the largest off-grid solar home system in the world. See, we are ahead of the curve because nobody was doing it. So we became the largest solar home system, off-grid solar home system in the world. And today it's a nationwide system. And our solar company has become a big company. We're now producing our solar panels and so on and so forth. So this is again a social business, a business not to make money. This is the example we're saying. So you do it to solve the problem. We had no intention of making our personal money. I don't get a penny out of this company, or nobody else gets a penny out of this company. We paid all the people who work for the company as a salaried person, but nobody gets it money out of the profit. Profit is rolled back to the business so that it can do. So there are many solar-related business, renewable energy. Now we're doing the biocompost. This is one. We with the biodigester, because there are a lot of cattle, lots of cow dung. We convert it into biodigester and produce into gas and produce again light and so on. Very healthy thing for the soil and so on. So anyway, what I'm saying that it's all about what the knowledge is over. Knowledge for what? I understand I learned mathematics, I learned history, I learned chemistry, but fine. To do what? So that is the purpose I'm talking about. Everything we do, there must be a purpose behind it. Purpose is our life. What we want to be in our life, what contribution we want to make into that. So one of the ingredients that I see in the entire education system, right from the grade 1 all the way to PhD and the post doctorate classes, education, the basic thing you will be asking, what is the purpose of my life? What is it I'm going to use it for? I know I'll be very good scientist, I'll be a good chemist, but what do we do with being a chemist? What does it make it to the rest of the world? So what did I decide it for myself? What is it that I want out of my life? That has to be integral part of an education system. Every year, every class must spend 1 week discussing what kind of world we want to build, what role I can play in it. And this is an exercise they'll be doing collectively, and make a collective piece of paper every year that this is what we think we will do to create the new world. This is the kind of world we want to build. That we have agreement on us. These are the pieces of the world, and this is what each one of us like to contribute in creating that world. And this should be a must exercise for every single class. So that even if you're doing it as a kind of fun thing, you didn't mean it. You just did it for getting a grade, good things. We said good things about the world, and I'll go ahead and steal the money anyway. But I'm doing it this way. By the fact that we are doing it, it imprints in our head. It gets into our head. Suddenly we realize that yes, that's what I really wanted. Let's do that, and our children should learn from us, and this is the world that we want to hand over to them. So this is the one exercise, an imagination, to teach the students right from the beginning to imagine things. Imagination, I keep repeating, imagination is a big power. If you imagine, it will happen. If you don't imagine, it will never happen. That's why I emphasize on the science fiction. I said, look at the science fiction. Everybody enjoys science fiction. You go anywhere, everybody enjoys it. Older people enjoy it, middle age people enjoy it, young people enjoy it, everybody, because it's a so crazy thing. It's beyond our thinking process, beyond our conception, but it happens. It's a fun. We know it's not real, but we still enjoy it because our imagination get loose, start working. I said, that's the beauty of science fiction. And once you create it in science fiction, it influences science. And scientists say, why not? Let's try to do something like this. We could, if we had done this, maybe we could do something similar to this. And that's the direction it takes. So the imagination came ahead, and the following the soul imagination, wild imagination, starts becoming reality. I said, unfortunate thing is we don't create social fictions. Like science fiction, we should be also creating social fiction. What kind of world it would be? Well, everybody's an entrepreneur. Make a social fiction out of it. And then say, hey, this looks good. Why don't we become all entrepreneurs? Beautiful storyline, beautiful thing. Make a world of 3 zeros, science fiction. You make a science fiction out of 3 zeros. And say, yes, we can do that. It's possible. Look at that. They have done that. This looks crazy, but it can be done. I want to do something like that. And those kind of things. And making sure that we can transform the financial system. You create a financial system, anybody can walk in, give the ID, get the money, get to start the business, and so on. Those kind of things. How an intricate system you build in your imagination. And if you keep on imagining, it will keep on happening. And that's a very important thing. So young people should be imagining things, imagining about the future in their own way. We are a first grader, you imagine your world in a first grader way. You make a world of all chocolates. Okay, that's fine. You imagine a world of chocolate. But as you grow up, you'll make something else. And gradually you will learn how to make things in a real sense. So that imagination should be the centerpiece of any education system so that we can contribute, we can share, and make sure that we come up with crazy ideas into it. Then those crazy ideas become real ideas in the real life.
Thank you very much. Thank you for sharing your vision, Professor. You somehow already anticipated my last question. I see we're going a bit out of time. We're receiving a lot of questions from all the followers. I will not. I'm not able to share it with you. But if you promise that when all the travel restriction will be over, if you promise that you will come and pay us a little visit, we'll be able to address all the other pending questions and issues that we were not able to address today.
I would love to do that. I'll definitely.
An open invitation to come to Brussels. Now, if you allow me very quickly, our last question. We have what the results of the United States election. The new United States presidency is sending positive vibes and hopes for a more collaborative approach between the US and the world in the future. As you mentioned at the very beginning of our talk, President Joe Biden has already signed an executive order to have the United States rejoin the Paris Climate Agreement. Kamala Harris is the first ever Afro-American and Asian American woman vice president, becoming vice president of the United States. You mentioned many times, imagine. December last year marked the 50th anniversary of the song Imagine by John Lennon. As paraphrasing the song, you might say we are dreamers, but we hope that we're not the only one. So to conclude our very pleasant talk today, since you seem to be a tireless optimist, could you just can we end this session with your final optimistic note before we pass the floor back to Ralph and the rest of the agenda for all our participants? Thank you very much, Professor.
Thank you. I'll be quick. You mentioned about the John Lennon. This is a beautiful song. What I'm saying is exactly captures the whole idea. If you keep on thinking, you keep on dreamers, you all become dreamers, it will all become real. This is the whole direction. It's not a useless dream. It's not a kind of a pipe dream. It's a dream which sinks into our heart that, yes, this is what we are. And that's what the human beings are driven by. What you feel in your heart, that's what gets done. What you imagine, that's what it gets done. This is the direction that we want to go. And about the US, as you said, yes, there are so many things to be done. And we are so happy that this era of previous president, Trump, is over. It was such a big burden on the world that we had to overcome, that now we are at least free from that and think about things that we can do. One of the things, see, we are talking about like healthcare. US is one country which doesn't have a healthcare system. It's such a terrible system that people have to go to a system where you have to pay a lot of money unnecessarily because of the way it has been designed. So this is one country which needs a social business healthcare system, a system where you bring the best of healthcare in the world, but as a social business. Nobody wants to make money out of it. We have created those things in Bangladesh. We have healthcare system, our own healthcare system. We have healthcare centers in the villages, and we have a healthcare insurance program. Each one of them is a social business. You pay $5 a year, and your entire family is covered under health insurance, $5 a year. And we cover everything. And we have a health center right in your village, and you can get to we have a fully qualified doctor living in your village, and you can come to the doctor, you can consult with them and so on. We have a whole dispensary and everything attached to it. And we have a full health center with it. So we have elaborate health center, all coming from this $5, and we cover all the cost. That's the important thing to do that. So this is one that we can replicate it in USA very easily. It won't be $5, but it will be something way below the existing insurance cost that you have to cover. So how to make this happen? Make layers and layers of healthcare system where everybody has been reached. And instead of, like before Obamacare, there are 47 million people in the USA who are not covered by healthcare system. So if you don't covered by a healthcare system, don't covered by the insurance, you are almost a dead person because you don't know whether you will be alive. Because when it gets to you, there's nothing you can do about it because you can't pay for it. After Obamacare, after all this political movement, then Obamacare was passed. The people under coverage, healthcare coverage, came down to 18 million, from 47 to 18 million. So still there are 18 million people who are not covered by the system. Now Trump wanted to get back to that old system, destroying the Obamacare. At least now he cannot do that. Hopefully the entire thing will go back to the Obamacare and better, covering all 18 million people who are left out. What I'm saying, we need whole elaborate system of healthcare system for the United States. So this is another challenge we can give the new administration, that it can be solved another way. You keep on doing what you do the traditional way, but simultaneously in a parallel way, we can do the other one, the social business way. And there are plenty of people who love to do that. So let's mobilize them and do that. This is one. Second, we are talking about the USA. We started microcredit Grameen program in Arkansas back in 1987. We started this Grameen program in Arkansas when Bill Clinton was the governor of Arkansas. He invited us to do that. So, but when President Clinton or Governor Clinton left the state as became a president, the whole next governor never paid attention to it, so it disappeared. So we brought it back again at the invitation of some important people in USA to start Grameen America in New York City in 2008. We started in a small way in Jackson Heights, New York, in 2008. Today, in 2021, we have 24 branches all over the United States. It is spread. We have in 14 cities. New York is one, and there are 14 other: Los Angeles, San Francisco, Boston, Houston, Miami, Chicago, and many. There are 14 major cities where we work through Grameen America, exactly like the Grameen Bank, same system, nothing compromised, no collateral, aiming at the poorest people. Startup loan is somewhere like $500, $600, $700. That's a startup loan. And we have 140,000 borrowers, all women, 100% women. We are 97% women in Bangladesh, 100% women in the USA. And almost 60% of these borrowers, all these women, are undocumented. They're immigrants, still don't have the papers. And Trump was the one who was trying to push them away from the country. Luckily, we are protected by the mayors, we are protected by the governors, so we could keep them there so that they didn't have to leave, they stay there. So they are there. Today, 140,000. It took us 11 years, since 2008, 11 years. It took us 11 years to make the first $1 billion in total loan to all these people. $1 billion. We celebrated that we did that. Now we come to a stage in 2020 and 2021 and even 2019, we come to a stage where every year we are lending $1 billion a year. It took 11 years to build $1 billion total, cumulative. Now we are lending $1 billion a year every year. We could have done it all over the country. Simply legal system doesn't allow us to do that because we are not a bank. Because we cannot get a bank license. We don't have that resource to have a bank license. So we work as an NGO, but following the same principle as a social business, we have to cover the cost. All our branches have to cover the cost and cover the cost of the headquarters so that we don't owe anybody anything. It's all internal. So this repayment rate over all these years has remained very close to 100%. It's over 99.5% at the back. So imagine that. It works. Even in the USA, and the USA has millions and millions of people who are not served by any financial system. They go to what they call payday lenders. You must have heard that word. And if you are touched by the payday lenders, you are finished. The way I was worried about in 1976 and 1977, I was worrying about the loan sharks in the village next door to the university campus. This is a global phenomenon in all of the United States. You go anywhere in the United States, you'll have big signs about the payday lenders. You'll have a big signs of pawn shops and so on. They don't need to have that. You need a decent health, credit system replacing that a bank is. So you have to redesign the entire banking system. That's the key to all the evil that we have created, all the problems we have created for the people. So there are lots of challenging things to do. I hope we can communicate with the new administration and see how far we can go. I'll stop here and thank you very much for inviting me.
Professor, thank you very much. I had to say, yes, I was going to stop you there. I have to admit, I was afraid that we were going to be able to fill in the entire hour. I think we managed to do that. We are a few minutes late, but we are so grateful to have your intervention and to talk to you. It was a pleasure. It was very inspiring. Now, I reiterate the invitation to come to Brussels in the nearest future. And I end this section here. I hope it was enjoyable for everyone who followed us from all around these different countries. And I give the floor over and back to Ralph to continue the other section. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I'll say goodbye.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Thank
Bye
you.
bye.
Bye-bye.
Ralph, over to you.
Thank you very much, Clivio. Thank you very much, Professor Yunus, for sharing your experience and above all your vision on the global changes we need and the urgent actions that have to be taken. Your ideas are highly relevant for our capacity building action and for the whole Erasmus program as a whole. When defining the priorities for the future capacity building action, which will probably start next year, we put in fact focus on priorities such as the Green Deal, including climate change, environment and energy, digital transformation and data technologies, sustainable growth and jobs, migration partnerships, peace and security. The capacity building action should therefore contribute to a green and sustainable global economic development in the partner countries linked to the Sustainable Development Goals and the Paris Agreement. Ladies and gentlemen, I will now close this morning's session, which was public, and I would like to thank the speakers for their contribution. I hope that the speeches and the discussion with Professor Yunus have been inspiring and that his ideas can focus our objectives on what is really important and what makes a difference to our priorities and objectives. There will be now a lunch break until 1:30 Brussels time, so for 1 hour, and then we will start with a non-public part of this conference that is dedicated to the management aspects of the capacity building projects. For those who will participate in this restricted session, please use the link that you have received for the afternoon session. Thank you very much for being with us in this morning session, and goodbye.